In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the top of your table tennis bat. So as you can see here, we've got a red outline, which is the shape of your bat, and we've also got a black image with some text in it, which is the engrave, which means it won't cut all the way through, that you can add onto the top of your bat. So in order to create this then, the first thing that we need to do is we need to open up 2D TechSoft. So on your computer screen you'll see an app that looks like this one right here. I'm going to double click that, and what you'll notice is a blank screen appears. Now the first thing I want you to make sure that you've got clicked on is something called grid lock. Okay, so there'll be step lock and grid lock. I'm just going to press left click and press onto grid lock. Now we also need to draw a square which is 90 by 90. Now to understand measurements in 2D TechSoft, when I draw things, measurements will appear here where it says rel. So I'm going to get the square or rectangle tool, which is over here. I'm going to left click, and I'm just going to click on any one of these dots. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to use the arrows on my keyboard. So you've got the left arrow, right arrow, up and down. I'm going to keep clicking the right arrow and just watch what happens to that rel in the bottom left corner. So the rel increases to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. So that's telling me that the width of this square at the minute is 90 millimeters. Now if I press the down arrow on my keyboard, you'll notice that the numbers next to it is minus 10, minus 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. So I now know, based off that rel in the bottom left, that it's 90 by 90. And once I'm happy with it, I'm going to click enter. So now we're going to start to focus on adding an image into this size that's here. So I'm going to go onto Google, and I'm just going to get any line drawing that you're interested in. So I'm going to do Simpsons outline or line drawing, either is fine. So Simpsons outline, I'm going to click images. Now obviously I'm not going to click that one there, but instead I might go for this one. So I'm now going to right click on this picture and click copy image. I'm then going to go back to 2D TechSoft. I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to click paste here. So I'm going to left click paste here. And what you'll notice is your image will appear. Now we need to make this fit into that box that's over here. So to do that, I can drag any one of these four corners. So I'm going to just drag this one over here. And you'll notice that it gets a little bit smaller, and I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller again. Now to check that it's the correct size, if I hover over, and I'm going to zoom in here, if I hover over that yellow box there, if I left click and hold, I can move it. Can't move these ones because it just drags them, but if I select this middle one, it will move it. So I'm just going to zoom out again, and I'm going to position this into that box. So as you can see, it's still a little bit too big. Oh, a bit too small, and that's perfect. And I'm going to zoom in, and at the minute the laser cutter wouldn't be able to read this because it just wouldn't understand it. It would just literally engrave a black box. So we have to convert it into something that the laser cutter can understand. So if I select it and it goes pink, I'm going to click bitmap, vectorize bitmap. So again, I left click this, bitmap, vectorize bitmap, and I'm going to click it again. I'm then going to click monochrome, and I'm going to adjust this that we can see here, this bar. So I want to make this dark enough so that you can see it clearly, but not too dark that you can't see the image at all. So it's about there. And then I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to click OK again. And what you'll notice is we can now see the square, and our image looks almost see-through in certain parts, which is perfect because that's what we want really. Now, when I'm trying to position it into the centre, you'll be able to tell that it won't actually go there. It keeps flipping over to the sides and it won't accurately go in the centre. So if I untick gridlock again, and I just move it, now it perfectly sits right in the centre. Now if I wanted to, I could add words onto this as well. So if I wanted the bottom of the skateboard to say Bart, I would click the ABC tool. It's right there because I don't want it on a curve. I don't want it in a box. I just want a standard word. I then click where I want to put it. So I might want it up here, or I might want it on his skateboard, which I do. So left click, and I'm going to type Bart. But I also want to change the font and maybe the size and maybe make it bold. So I'm going to click settings. And I'm going to choose a font that we use quite often in DT. And I'm going to keep it regular. Now obviously you can do whatever name you want, you can use whatever font you want, it's completely up to you. I'm only using Bart just because obviously it's Bart Simpson. I'm going to click OK, and what you'll notice is your text appears. Now obviously that's far too big, so I need to again select one of the corners, make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to also rotate it round by clicking that yellow circle, and then I'm going to use the middle one to move it further down. And again, still a little bit too big, so I'm going to make it a bit smaller. Bring it over like so. Bit smaller again. Bring it over like that. Perfect. So I've now got Bart Simpson. I've got the name there, and everything looks like it's ready to go for the laser cutter. Now the next step that we need to do is we need to draw, so if I show you this one, we need to draw this back section, which is the red outline, so that can get laser cut out with our pattern on the front of it. So to do that, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to go back onto Google again, but this time I'm going to write table tennis bat outline. And you have to do it on Google because we're looking for this image in particular, so that everyone's got the same one. Then I'm going to right click it. I'm going to click copy. I'm going to go back onto 2D TextSoft again. Right click paste here. And what you'll notice is at the minute, I'm just going to zoom out again, or in again. What you'll notice at the minute is it's upside, well, it's slightly to the right, and we don't want that. We want to twist it all the way around. So I'm going to left click, hold, left click and hold, and then rotate it all the way around like so. And that's perfect. I'm going to reposition it just so it's in the middle of the boardish. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so I've got more control. Now what we need to do is we've got to trace all the way around the outside of this bat. So these red lines you see here, just these, we need to trace around them. So to do that, we're going to use a path tool, or a spline tool as I like to call it. And it's basically dot to dot. So I'm going to get that tool there, left click, and I'm going to click from there, dot to dot to dot, as accurate as I possibly can, and I'm going to go all the way around like so. So I'm going to go all the way around the bat. This will take a little bit of time, but you need to make sure it's accurate, because if it's not accurate, then you're going to end up with a laser cut bat, well, that isn't accurate basically. Then once I get to near the end, like so, then I'm going to double click. So I double click, and you'll notice that you can see that black line all the way around the shape. I also want to add a straight line just around about here. So I'm going to click the straight line tool. I'm going to left click here. And then I'm going to go across and left click again, like so. And at this point, if I get the cursor tool, I can select the image, click delete on my keyboard. And then I can delete that image away because I don't need it anymore. Now what you'll notice as well is there's these extra lines down the bottom that I don't actually want. I don't want them to cut out on the laser cutter. So I'm going to hold delete any. So I hold it down, I left click and hold down, and I'm looking for the second option, which is delete part of an object. So I click that, and I'm just going to click on those lines, and it should delete them, but do be careful, because if you click, for example, that line, then you're going to have to get it back, which is where you click edit undo, but you can only undo once, so you have to make sure you're really, really careful. Now the next step is, this won't cut out at the minute because the laser cutter only understands colours. So it knows that red is to cut and black is to engrave. So we need to change this line here to red. So I'm going to select all. I'm going to go to up here to where it says line and col. I'm going to click col and make it the red colour. And then I'm going to click OK. And what you'll notice is this is now red, ready for cutting. And this is black, so it will engrave, but it won't cut all the way through, which is perfect. Now what I want to do is I want to position this here without the box around it. I want to move it into the centre of here. So I'm going to select the yellow square in the middle. And I'm going to position it about there like so. I'm going to delete this box away by selecting it and clicking delete on the keyboard. And I'm just going to zoom out to check. Now at this point, if you're not happy with, let's say, the size of Bart, then you can make him bigger. But to be honest, I'm quite happy with that, to be fair. So I'm going to leave it as that, so to speak. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to add dimensions to this so that people know what size roughly it is. So if I select the dimensions tool, left click hold, and I'm going to go to the first one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click right at the bottom, and then I'm going to go with my line all the way to the top, and I'm going to left click again. And now I'm going to drag out to the left, and you'll see that there's a little line that goes up and down. I'm going to position it roughly in the centre, and then I'm going to left click again. And what you'll notice is it automatically comes up with the measurements. Now I'd like to do it for the width of this shape as well. So I'm going to left click there. I'm going to come all the way across, like so. I'm going to click again, drag up, remembering that that little line that moves has to be in the centre, and I'm going to click again, just like that. And at this point, you've completed everything that you need to complete in order to be able to laser cut your table tennis bat. So all you need to do now is click File, try that again, File, Save As, call it Table Tennis Bat, and then your name, obviously, at the end of it. And I'm going to click Save.